welcome to the weekly episodic, the sports entertainment show starring me, Jason Miller. And this Raw was one of the best Raws I've seen in a couple of years. Great stuff, a lot of great things to talk about, but let's get the bad stuff, get that out of the way, under the rug, before we start into the good stuff. The six-man tag, and it seems like there's a weekly, just throw in some six-man tag action. This week it was the Usos and Ziggler against Ryback and The Miz. Again, I do like The Miz's character. I like where they're going with it. But my goodness gracious, just turn Ryback back into the face. I mean, he kind of teases the feed me more. The fans are sort of getting into that. They need to do that. I mean, as far as Curtis Axel goes, man, I don't know what to do with him. They tried to repackage him. That didn't work. They gave him the Intercontinental belt, just made the belt look worse. I know he's Kurt Hennig's son. I get that. But there's just no charisma there. That's the problem with him. I don't think he can get anything over because of the lack of charisma he has. He can go in the ring a little bit, but I don't know really what to do with him. But I think they should get Ryback away from him because I think people do want to cheer for him, and he really was a strong face, about a year and a half ago-ish. I mean, if you can remember that far back, I think they need to turn him back into that. But the actual match itself, when you put Ryback in the match, it just automatically makes me not care. That's the problem. And pretty much in those six-man tags that the face team's gonna win. I mean, it seems like a 90% fail rate. I did like the Woods Kofi Big E tandem just standing there. They don't say anything. It makes people think, what are they doing? That's a good, give them something to do. That's what I like. Now, as we continue with the bad stuff, I mean, the Fandango story is just, Fandango, Johnny Curtis, he can actually go in the ring. I wish they would. I mean, the heel character that he has is, it can stand on its own. It doesn't really need to be in the same feud with the ladies right now. It just gets so old that the same thing's going to happen, and for him to sit there and yell why, it's so dumb. I mean, the same thing's going to happen every week. Fandango, it just makes him look so stupid, and I know he's going to be a mid-carder. I'm not saying that anything can happen with it, but you got to try to make him be a little bit smarter, really. I mean, they really just need to get him away from the girls and maybe just let him dance by himself and see what he can do. I wouldn't give up on him, but they need to just change the storyline that's going there. I mean, it's just so old. It's the same thing week to week. Speaking of the same thing week to week, how many times do we have to see Sandow lose to Adam Rose? I mean, it's like every single week. And Adam Rose, same freaking deal. I mean, why do they put so much pressure in? Not pressure, but put so much into his act. I mean, why? Why? When you're going to see the same thing week to week to week? Because there's no way that has legs. There's no way that you can say that this guy is going to be, main event material. And I know you need mid-carders. I get that. But man, go down to NXT. There is so much more exciting stuff down there. Bring some of that up. I don't need to see Adam Rose. Okay, no way. Bo Dallas losing to R-Truth. Couldn't you find somebody a little bit better than R-Truth? I guess they were going for what the biggest shock value was, because obviously no one thought R-Truth was going to end that undefeated streak. But you couldn't find anybody to make that win mean something. And I understand what they were doing. They wanted to show a different part of the character of Bo Dallas, to show him beat down after the match. And I did like the beat down after the match. I appreciated it. But I didn't like the way they go to it. R-Truth. There's got to be someone better who could have gained something from that win. And this better not be the end of Bo Dallas either, okay? Come on, okay? Bo Dallas, he's money and he's gold, and they need to make sure that they follow through with him. And the good news is that's all the bad stuff I got. I mean, let's start from the beginning of Raw and how good it was. that first hour overall, this I can say, that's probably the best first hour overall I've ever seen. Ever, ever, ever. That's how strong it was. Everything from Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman, fantastic all around. And Cena's serious promo, that is the best Cena you can possibly have. And that is why John Cena is very... I mean, I know there's all kinds of haters in John Cena, and trust me, when he gets into his childish stuff, I can't stand it either. I mean, there's a lot of John Cena that I hated. But that is the good John Cena right there. That promo, that's money John Cena right there. And the Cesaro match that came out, fantastic match. Great match. And all I can hope is that Cesaro match, even though, you know, it was a win for Cena, but Cesaro looks strong in defeat, that they don't just sweep it under the rug and act like it's not that big a deal, like it's, you know, Damian Sandow losing a Money in the Bank match and then suddenly falling off the face of the earth. Cesaro's got so much to offer. And like I said, I still think the face turn is what Cesaro needs, but it was a great match. Great match. The Orton crazy heel coming out is something that definitely needs. Orton's so boring. So boring. I mean, it's, you know, to the point where you roll your eyes when you see him on TV, but the only thing he can do is be the beat down heel kind of guy. Although I really do wish that, you know, if the announce table doesn't break the first time, why go back and do it a second time? It just looks so rehearsed. And I mean, obviously I know this stuff is rehearsed. I'm not stupid, but it just looks so fake when you do it the second time. If it doesn't break, just let it go. It looks like it hurts more if it doesn't break, to be honest. But and then it actually gives some sympathy to Reigns, because instead of looking like the superhero he always is made out to be, it made him actually look vulnerable for once. So it was good for the Reigns character as well. And then it avoided Kane being in a match that doesn't matter too. So I like that. You know, just let Kane do the choke slam and get him out of there. So all of that was done well. I even like the backstage, you know, it gave Orton a reason to despise Reigns. It's something to build into that SummerSlam match that they're going to have. You know, Hunter's like, get rid of him. And, you know, he tried. I mean, Orton goes out there and tries the beatdown. I do like... that Goldust and Stardust actually talked about something for once. You know, basically, I think they're talking about the tag team belts, but I'm still confused because I don't see them feuding with the Usos. But at least I see the light of what they're talking about, so hopefully that gets us another step closer than getting into a ring, which is what we need. You know, if someone would have told you that you would have Stephanie McMahon and Brie Bella closing out a Raw anytime before the last couple of weeks, because the last couple of weeks you would have saw it coming, but anytime in the last 2 years you would have laughed at them and called them crazy and said that it would have been, you know, the worst mistake they could possibly make, but it was fantastic. Much better than I thought. Bella's work on the mics really surprised me. I didn't think she had that in her. And, I mean, Stephanie herself selling, you know, being the, you know, scared, you know, not wanting to go to jail, you know, please, bargain, then the slap at the end was great. All around fantastic, and it actually leads up to a match that people are actually excited about. 2 WWE divas in a ring. And yeah, Steph hasn't wrestled in 11 years or whatever, but who cares? I mean, they'll figure it out. They'll have a good match. It'll be all right because of the environment will make it a good match because everybody's into it now. That's all that has to happen. That's all that has to happen with wrestling. People act like it has to, that you have to have people who are great in, you know, have great ringsmanship in the ring or great character. You know, all that's great. But what you need is the fans to be engrossed into what's happening. And that you could definitely see that the crowd was going crazy for every word that was said in that last segment in Raw. So good job out of them. I still think, as we stay in the diva aspect of it, that AJ and Paige are... It wasn't as strong as I expected that next thing to be, but I still think that they're going to have a classic match at SummerSlam, but unfortunately for them, I think they're going to be, overshadowed now with the whole Steph and Bree thing, which will obviously take place later in the card, which is funny because it's not for a belt, but that's how it's going to work. But either way, it's just nice to see WWE moving forward in a Diva storyline to actually close out a Raw, and basically it's going to be probably the second most important match, the third most important, fourth most, maybe, I don't know. See, SummerSlam's plenty, man. There's a lot of good matches in SummerSlam. Speaking of good matches, the one thing I didn't talk about, no Dean Ambrose, and Ambrose was there. He was in the dark main event for Raw. Well, the house main event that they had. Why? Why not have Ambrose on the show? I don't get that. I mean, you couldn't sneak him in there somewhere? I mean, come on. I know it was a jam-packed show, but you'd think there would have been something in there that he could have had. So the only other thing I want to talk about that's not, Raw related, because Raw stole, well, actually, let's talk about Rollins and Jericho. You should be happy that you see Rollins and Jericho. I mean, Jericho's not going to be back very long. If you look at the Fozzy tour schedule, he's going to go in a couple of months, so he's not going to be long. So you need to cherish these matches. And it was, it was predictable that Wyatt was going to come out and there would be a no finish or a screwy finish, whatever. But the actual match itself, it was good, and it would be when you got Jericho and Rollins in a match. But just saying, don't sit there and roll your eyes because that match doesn't mean anything, because you might never see that again. So it was really nice to see that. That's the one thing I didn't talk about. And I also like the Jericho promo on Stephanie right out of 2001. That was good stuff too. Just a little bit of, throwback memory for anything. But I mean, it's silly Jericho, and silly Jericho you can still pull it off, and he's the only guy that can. And it's good stuff. But yeah, the only other thing I want to talk about that's not Raw related, the WWE Network. They came out with the conference call. Vince says that he's got 700,000 network buys, which is up something like 160,000 from WrestleMania or something, because then they also had people like 143,000 that dropped out or something. I don't understand. I mean, there's been WrestleManias that have like 1.4 million buys. Why are there not more network purchasers? I can't understand it. I cannot get it. More people need to have the WWE Network. I mean, literally, if my fiance would let me, I would sit there and watch all the old wrestling all day long. There is so much old content on there. There's Saturday night main events in there that I grew up with that I cannot wait to watch. I haven't watched any of them because I don't have the time, but my God, that's some great stuff. I mean, it's like Golden Age Wrestling 101. If there was a class, I would just sit there and say, here, watch Saturday night main events. This is the 80s wrestling scene for you. I mean, come on, that Animotion song, the opening song, still gives me goosebumps to this day. Great stuff. All right. Other than that, that's all that I got. Make sure you turn in next week. I mean, R-Truth? Really? R-Truth? Of all people that Bo Dallas could have beat R-Truth, it should be somebody else. I mean, come on, there could be like, I don't know. Even Hornswoggle would be better than R-Truth.